Good morning, Algebra 1. How was your weekend? Did they have a good Halloween? Let's find out. Did they have a good Halloween weekend? And it was... Signs point to yes, so you had a good weekend. All right. But the real question is, will you learn a lot of math today? Concentrate and ask again later. So then we must concentrate for today's lesson. Let's do this. What's the game plan today? Here, we need to do a quick little review of what we learned about last week. And then what we really want to do is, we really want to get good at these vocabulary words and how to use it, and especially this part about interval. But we're going to get to it. What I'd like you to do is, stretch your muscles, make sure your back is straight, and try this all by yourself. Let's see what you got, right? What does it mean to be a linear function? What does it mean to be quadratic? What does it mean to be a cubic function? What does it mean to be a square root function, right? So pause the video and try this by yourself. Try this by yourself. Right? Well, how do you read this, right? F of x equals negative 2x minus 4, right? How do you read this function? You could say x squared or x to the second power. How do I read this function? I could say x cubed or x to the third power. How do I read this function? The square root of x, right? What does this graph look like? It'll look like some line like this, right? Because it has a negative slope. Here, what will a quadratic look like? And remember, don't say u. What is the word we could use? That is not a u. It is a parabola. What does x to the 3 look like? Something like this. This one we learned last class. What does it look like? It looks something like this. And how can you check? Well, you could go into the calculator, right? I could hit y equals. I could plug in any one of these functions. For example, if I do x to the third, I put in x to the, right? To the 3, hit graph, and holy moly, it looks like that, right? All right. So now this is just the basic definition, but mathematically, what must you do for each of these questions, right? Here, if I have f of 5, what does it mean? If I have g of 5, what does it mean? How do I evaluate it, right? So what I want you to do is try to evaluate these without using the calculator first, right? So don't use the calculator first. Try and do it with your smart, beautiful brain of yours, and then we'll see what you got, okay? Try and do it without a calculator. So here for f of 5, f of x equals what? Negative 2x minus 4. You could always write the function first, right? This is g of x equals x squared. Try these by yourself. Pause the video. Try these by yourself. Okay, so now if you want to see the answers, what happens? Negative 2, right? So here what happens? X is equal to 5, right? Here, x is equal to 5. Okay, so when x equals 5, the question is, what does y equal? Okay, so negative 2 times 5 is negative 10 minus 4. This should be negative 14, right? So y is equal to negative 14. All right, keep going, keep going. What is g of 5 here? What happens? This is just 5 squared, which is 5 times 5, which is 25. So when x equals 5, y equals 25. Right? What about for the next one? H of 5. Well, what happens here? This is 5 to the 3, which is equal to 5 times 5 times 5, which is equal to, what's 5 times 5? That's 25. What's 25 times 5? That is 125, right? So when x equals 5, y equals 125. Right? Here, what am I doing? X is equal to 49, and I'm saying j of 49. So then anywhere I see x, I just put the 49. So when you take the square root of 49, what is the question you ask? You say, what number times itself gives me 49, right? What number times itself gives me 49? It must be 7, right? Because 7 times 7 is 49. So the square root of 49 is 7, right? So in here, my y is equal to 7. Y is equal to 7. Very nice. Muy bien. Muy bien. Let's go, let's go. Well done. So here, this was just review, right? But I also want to make sure that you know how to do each of these with the calculator. Last week, we spent a lot of time on this. Real quick, do you know how to plug this into the calculator? How do you plug this into the calculator? So notice I'm in here, right? I want to get out of here, so I hit second mode. Where is the square root button in the calculator? Notice next to the x squared. You see how this is in blue? So to activate it, I hit second, and then x squared, and then notice it gives me the square root symbol. I put in 49, I put enter, and holy moly, it gives us 7. All right. So this was just a warm-up, right? Very easy peasy. What if I made it a little bit harder? You think you got what it takes? Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, okay? Try this by yourself. And again, practice without the calculator first, right? So too easy. Let's make it a little bit spicier. Practice without the calculator first and then check with it. So whatever answer you get, make sure you know how to use the calculator to plug it in to get it correct, right? Just so you have your calculator skills. Pause the video. Let's see what you got, right? All right, so let's take a look. What happens here? F of x is equal to 1/2 x minus 5. So I just say f of negative 20 equals 1/2 of negative 20 minus 5. What is 1/2 of negative 20? That's negative 10 minus 5. Negative 10 minus 5 is negative 15, right? And if you want to say, Profe, how do you put this into the calculator? For all the cookies in the world, how do you put a fraction into the calculator? We have done this. How do you put a fraction into the calculator? Alpha, y equals, enter. And then poof, you get it, right? So I could put 1 over 2 parentheses negative 20 close minus 5, and I get negative 15. All right, so make sure you have your calculator skills as well. For this one over here, what do you got? So this is g of 3 equals 2 times 3 squared plus 3 times 3 minus 5, right? So this becomes what? If you do 2 times 3 first, the gods of math give you a pow pow. Do not do 2 times 3 first, right? you have to do the 3 squared first. So that's 2 times 9 plus 9 minus 5. 2 times 9 is 18 plus 9 minus 5. 18 plus 9 is 27 minus 5. 27 minus 5 is 22. Right? So when x equals 3, y equals 22. All right. Make sure you can plug this into the calculator, right? Show that you could pause the video, show that you could plug this into the calculator, right? What will it look like? 2 parentheses 3 to the 2 plus 3 open 3 minus 5. And then poof, you get 22. Okay. What happens here? H of negative 4, right? So this becomes what? H of negative 4 equals 4 times negative 4 to the 3 minus 7. What is negative 4 to the 3, right? How do I do that? What is negative 4 to the 3? So that's negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, right? You have to show it 3 times. Let's just do this part first, right? Let's just do this part. What's negative times negative? That's positive. 4 times 4 is 16. So notice that when I multiply these two, I get 16, but then now I need to multiply it by negative 4. What's positive times negative? That's negative. 16 times 4 is 64. So then when I just do this part over here, then you get 4 times negative 64 minus 7. What is 4 times negative 64? I think that's negative 256 minus 7. So that's negative 263. All right. I wonder who got that one correct. Okay. For this one here, and remember, how do I put this into the calculator? Right? How do I put this in? Let's practice. Let's practice. Here, let me zoom out a little bit. I have 4 parentheses negative 4 close. Now here the square button is over here, so that's to the 2, but we want to the 3. So what we do is we hit this button here, the caret, and then notice when you hit the caret, then you could get any number you want over here. I put 3, and then notice if I keep typing, where am I? I'm in the exponent. So I need to go 1 to the right, then I do the minus 7. And then you get negative 263. All right. Last one. J of 43. What is J of 43? This is J of 43 is equal to square root of 43 minus 7 plus 8. So notice within this question that this x minus 7 is inside the radical. So what do we have to do? We have to do inside the radical first, and this plus 8 is kind of like onto the side, right? It's not there yet. So now I have square root of, well, what's 43 minus 7? That's 36 plus 8. What's the square root of 36? 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. All right. Okay. Not too bad, not too bad. Because of time, I'm going to skip this question for now, but you could try it for extra credit. And if you get it right, you get a chocolate. Just raise your hand. Let's turn the page. So let's continue our journey from last class, right? What we did was, here, we practiced function notation, right? So if I plug in, let's say, g of 1, how do I plug in g of 1? Right? But here, if I have a graph where I have a table, we practiced this from last week. So this is just a review, okay? So pause the video. Let's see what you got, okay? Let's see what you got. How far within this can you go? How far within this can you go? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Well, how does this translate? When x equals 1, y equals So what do I do? Because it's the f function, and the f function is the graph, so what do I do? When x equals 1, what is my y value? Well, if this is the x-axis, when x is equal to 1, it's right here. Notice it's this point over here. Right, it's this point over here. What is the y value over here? How do I write it as a point, as an x comma y? It is 1 comma 0, right? Because the y value is 0. So then what has to happen over here? That this y value over here is 0, right? So here I could say when x equals 1, y equals 0, or I could say f of 1 equals 0. You could even have that as well. What about this one? How do I translate this? G of 1. Well, this we've been practicing a lot, right? So you say g of 1, this becomes g of 1 equals, well, how do I plug in 1 into this function? It's negative 3 times 1 squared plus 1 plus 4, right? Then what happens? This is 1 squared, so it's negative 3 times 1 plus 1 plus 4. Negative 3 plus 1 plus 4. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 plus 4, which is positive 2. Okay? So what is g of 1? When x equals 1, y equals 2. Right? Or I could say g of 1 equals 2. I could also say that. All right. H of 1. When x equals 1, y equals, oh wait, pause, it should be 1. Well, what do? I just look at the table, right? You see how this is my x, and you see how this says h of x? This is secretly your y, right? Because this is your input, this is your output. So when the x value is 1, what's the y value? It's negative 7. So h of 1 is negative 7. All right. Let's go. Now, let's take a look. I'll show you one more question, and then I want you to work the rest on your own. Here, let's see what you got. So what is this question saying? It says true or false. It says, is f of 1 less than g of 1 less than h of 1? So let's see, what does this say, true or false? Well, notice, what did you get for f of 1? Notice f of 1 was 0. What did you get for g of 1? Notice that for g of 1, we got 2. Well, what did you get for h of 1? It was negative 7, right? Because we just got that. Now, is this question true or false, right? This happens to be true, right? Is 2 greater than 0? That's true, but what's not true? Negative 7 is not greater than 2, so this is false, right? Now that this is false, how can you make it true, right? How can I rearrange it? So then the way you have to do it, which is the least, right? Negative 7 is the least. So instead of just saying negative 7, you say h of 1 less than, then what should go next? F of 1, which is less than g of 1, right? Because this is the negative 7, this is the 0, and this is the 2. Big brain, okay? Because of time, I don't have time to continue. I want you to try these on your own, okay? And then the best part of the lesson is getting up to here, right? Once you get up to here, try this on your own. Right? The questions are very straightforward, and if you have questions, we could work with Ms. Ahmed, with me, and we'll do this together, okay? Good job.